A Bibliophile's Guide to Getting the Books, Getting the Goods. You may or may not know this about me, Toastmasters, but I love books. They're one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. But I've discovered over the years that there are just a few problems with loving books as much as I do. The first being, I have this insatiable appetite for them. I have very little self-control. When I'm in a room full of books and there's even the slightest possibility of taking some of them home, I end up taking more than my fair share. I cannot control myself, which wouldn't be a problem, except books cost money. Often more money than I should spend. I walk into a bookstore and it's all over. The odds of me leaving without dropping $100 are slim to none. It very rarely happens. It's like a trip to Costco, but smarter. And they take up valuable space. I have exhausted the shelves in my house many years ago. In the hopes of fixing this problem, my husband bought me a Kindle about 10 years ago, and it didn't take. Fortunately for him, the new Kindle is much faster and it's waterproof, and I have learned to enjoy it. But I still have this problem of more books than I have shelf space for, and I am unwilling to give them up. They are precious to me, and I don't want to lose them once I have them. So until I have Belle's Library from Beauty and the Beast, I am faced with this situation. And I have been working on tackling these problems I have with books through various means. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, so that if you know someone in your life that has the same book problems I have, maybe you can point them in the right direction and help them avoid some of these common problems for bibliophiles. The first stop shop, independent booksellers or bookshop.org. This is my go-to favorite happy place to go. And I tend to go here, but I have to say goodbye to my money at the door because, once again, very little self-control. I will spend however much money I walk in with. But it's a great place to get a book for friends. I have limited my going to these places specifically to certain occasions, like buying a book for a friend that I know that they'll appreciate. It'll be new and crisp and beautiful, and I'm supporting a local business that I care about. Or I will use these venues to pre-order books because I know that pre-sales help authors. I want to support authors that I care about. I'll hop on bookshop.org. It will let me choose the local bookshop of my loving and give part of the sale to them. It's a wonderful way to keep things local. Or when I know that there's a book that I'm going to want to try and squeeze on my shelf, if it's finishing off a trilogy that I'm already attached to, or if it's a signed copy by one of my favorite authors, then I'll hunt out these independent bookstores and I'll go get the goods that I want, that I know are going to be special and a part of my collection for years to come. That's how we utilize independent booksellers. More recently, and it's also a great place to get recommendations for new books that won't fit on your shelves. There's a lot of bookstores that will have tables of staff picks, and there's a few local places that never steer me wrong. But lately I've been hitting up Libby, our library's digital collection. It is a free option. I have money in my pocket because I've been using Libby. What's great about it is it's an extensive collection from a network of libraries local to me. I have 24,000 books that I can put on my Kindle. The problem is I can't always put the book I want on my Kindle when I want it. Sometimes I have to wait in line, but most of the time it works out. I've got 5 or 6 titles that I'm waitlisted for, and it'll show up and I'll snag it, and then I can postpone the delivery of the others for another day when they show up. The feature of this that has been most helpful lately, though, is that there are audiobooks. I was not aware of the extensive audiobook library that Libby has to offer. There are over 11,000 audiobooks. And since I've started using Libby for audiobooks, I've been able to cancel my Audible account, saving me $15 a month. Woohoo! Love to see it. Last but not least, Pango Books has been fabulous for helping me bargain hunt. My book club often likes to read an it book, something that's in season that everyone's talking about. And the problem with those is that they are often the hardcovers. You know, those books that you may or may not even like, but are going to cost you $30 because it's the first run and it's a hardback, and you don't even know if you're going to like it. So I will hop on Pango Books because it's a resale app, and I will be able to snag one of those hardcovers used in near perfect condition for half of the list price, sometimes even lower than that, which is great because when you have to read a book like this, romantic comedy, in your book club, and it ends up being one of the worst books you've ever read, you're really glad that you didn't pay top dollar for it and you only spent $7.50. The other thing that I love about Pango is when I don't love a book, I can list it back on the app and get my money back. And it's almost like I checked it out of a library, minus the hassle of going to the post office. I can resell the books that don't deserve space on my bookcase and recoup the losses. So I have been working with all of these means to help economize my book habit. And it's been working really well for me. I have found that I have fewer piles of books stacked around the house in places where they ought not be. And I'm using our library resources, which have always been available to me, but I've kind of ignored up until now. And it also gives me a means of every 6 months when I look through my bookcase and I find one or two that I can bear to part with, I can maybe make a little money off that and then reinvest it in my book habit. I hope you find these tips helpful for you or someone in your life because they have saved me a lot of hard-earned money, and I think that they're great to know about. Thank you very much. All right.